We're at Crabtree School for the opening day, and I'm joined with Mike Egan from Mitsubishi Electric. He's going to tell us all about the MVHR system and the air source, air-to-air heat pump that we have in the system. Mike, thank you very much for coming down to our opening.
No, pleasure, Richard. No, thank you for inviting to me. So we're here today at Crabtree Junior School, and kind of explain a little bit more about the technology we've put in place into this building. So from a mechanical ventilation heat recovery perspective, we have in place 3 Losner units. Now,
just to point out, the Losner unit is in the background, so that's what you can see in between us.
Losner unit there. And what that allows basically is that we're able to control the environment within the classroom space, because what we're very conscious of nowadays is the pollutants in the air from the outside air, and more also from the indoor air quality perspective, and that was kind of gained greater strength from the COVID pandemic. And with the mechanical ventilation heat recovery system, should we call the Losner Mitsubishi, we're able to extract the stale air within the area and take it outside. But during periods of time, for instance in the winter when we've got a warm, controlled environment, what we don't want to do is bring lots of cold, fresh air at 5 degrees or 10 degrees into the room, because that's just going to increase the amount of operational cost, because we're having to heat the room even more. So whereby what we do is with the Losner core, which is integral to the unit, it's essential to the unit, we're allowed to, when we bypass the air through the core, which we showcased to the children earlier, and they got to feel and touch it and everything, we extract the energy, whatever we can capture of energy being taken from the room, we bring back into the fresh air. So rather than it being 5 degrees, we bring it into the room at 15, 18 degrees, dependent on the temperature profiles of the environments. So we're bringing cold air in, heating it up, and bringing it into a controlled environment. But we're taking away some of the pollutants as well by utilising the filters.
So if I've understood this correctly then, so the outgoing air is going across the heat exchanger, which heats the incoming air.
That's good.
So that wouldn't, I guess that's not 100% efficient.
No, it's not 100% efficient. We don't have that ability. But what we can hit around is about 90%.
Oh, wow.
And one of the reasons the Losner is a great product is there's 2 types of heat. There's sensible heat, which is dry heat. Typically you find in server rooms where there's no moisture.
Yeah.
And we can extract a bit of energy from that. But the real key is latent heat. That's where we moisture, sweat from, as own bodies, we're evaporating, there's condensation. And the building itself, we can capture so much energy. There's far more energy in latent heat than anything. And the beauty of the core is we can take both the latent and sensible.
Well, okay, so it's got 2 sources of heat that's coming in during the winter. So we're now, this is January, so we've got cold air coming in and warm air going out. I assume it can do the same for summer.
So in summer we have the opposite effect. So what we have to try and do is, and I think we should stress is that this is a new build. You know, we've got a real thermally insulated building here. So during the summer, with the air conditioning, which we have in place as well, we're going to maintain a constant temperature around between 20 and 25 degrees, following Department of Education standards. We'll follow that, and we'll be bringing in air which will be warmer. But what we're also doing is we're going to do the reverse. We're going to be taking cool air across the plate. So we're not going to be bringing in, shall we say, extremes of 30 degrees air. We're going to be bringing it a lot cooler. So we're just doing the reverse impact. And one thing is, during the autumn months, there is actually times in the year where we'll actually just put the bypass on. So we actually just have a direct through input between the inside and outside. There is no need for the transfer to carry out.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So it kind of just flips reverse in the winter and summer.
It does.
I like it. And one of the big things that sold it for us, obviously I know it's a requirement for DFE, but it's the deodorising in the room, which I think is fantastic. So we've got fresh air coming in, and obviously the dirtier air going out, which aids everything really. We're doing it for the children, but obviously the teachers are involved as well. So what's the benefits for linking the 2 together? So we've got obviously the mechanical ventilation coming in and the air source heat, air to air. Can you explain some benefits that the teachers would get as well?
So with a thermal efficient building, which we have here in place, incorporating a HVAC system, which is incorporating air conditioning, heat pump, or air-to-air heat pump, which is Mitsubishi systems. So what we're able to do is we're able to control the environment to maintain it, again, mentioned between 20 and 25 degrees. Bringing in the air as well, what we're doing is we're as much as we're trying to mitigate any of the pollutants outside, we're also extracting the pollutants inside the room, the indoor air quality. We're conscious of there's fumes and vapours coming off carpets, paints, cleaning products, children's cells, everything which is associated with the product. There's some mitigating emission from it. And with the ventilation, what we can do is basically we're taking all that air away, we're taking all that pollutant away. And what that allows is, studies show that basically if we can control the indoor air quality, the cognitive effects on children is far better. We're not getting the tiredness which is sometimes experienced by many. And we're also finding that they're far more alert. And another advantage is there's less distraction. So with the units now, we're sat in this room and you can't really hear it. It's working nicely in the background, so there's no distractions by typically a window being open and children being distracted looking out the window and looking at something. There is no need for that. It's a controlled environment, and so teachers will find that they've got more of a receptive audience in terms of the children. You've got less distraction in terms of noise environment, and I think that's fantastic. It's fantastic for children, and hopefully what we'll see is the change, transition in children's behaviour, and likewise teachers feel more fulfilled in being in an environment which is controlled.
I think that's a really good thing about the indoor air quality, but indoor stable temperature as well, because I remember when we were growing up and being taught in terrapins or the mobile classrooms, it was just incredibly hot in the summer and stifling, and you can't get the concentration of children. Because I was the class clown. And not that I'm necessarily proud of it, but it lent itself to the environment because it's so hot and disruptive that everyone sort of joined in with what you were doing because the concentration wasn't there. So indoor air quality, I mean, it's an up and coming subject as well, isn't it?
Most certainly. And I think again, talking about the Department of Education, is one of their requirements is to manage the CO2 levels within the environment. And it states within the building bulletin to be below 1,000 parts per million. And with the ventilation system, with the inclusion of the CO2 monitor, it allows us, the MVHR unit, the Losner unit, will constantly be looking at and sensing what the CO2 level is in the room, and dependent on how high the level of CO2 is, will react. So the fan will increase in 5% increments and reduce down. Constantly monitoring. So again, we're not having the teachers having to be distracted thinking, do I need to do anything? Is it getting stuffy in here? Do we need to open windows? It's doing itself. It takes away that an element for the teachers that don't need to worry about. And
when the systems are designed, I assume nothing's designed for full capacity, you allow for those purges of air.
We do, yeah. So the systems have been designed to run at a constant level, so we're maintaining those air changes and litres a second. I think it's always comfortable to have that buffer. So when we need to purge the air, if it did ever exceed 1500, we're able to achieve it very quick.
I mean, it's one thing worth noting as well is that whilst we have all this equipment in the room, it's nothing without the fabric first approach in making sure we have an efficient building.
Most certainly. I completely agree, Richard. I think one thing we find is that there's always a misconception by introducing a renewable technology into a building that you're actually getting the best out of it. But the fabric is key, and we understand it's very difficult within certain budgets that can't be achieved, but of course with new construction builds, then it's essential. It's a one hit, it's a one try. If you're going to do it right. Retrofitting later on, it just becomes more cumbersome, and you're just starting to, you start to really add a lot of intrusion into the existing building, into your fancy, nice, clean building.
So one of the things that we do when we do build classrooms, we involve all the stakeholders, which includes the little children as well who are on site. We have been fortunate enough that 2 weeks ago we had the eco team in that saw all of the equipment going in before we finished it, and today with the help from Mitsubishi and Mike, we invited the eco team back, and Mike was able to explain all the units, how they really work, and show them other bits. So Mike, if you can explain what we did with the children.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I thought the bringing in the eco team is a real good touch, really, because I think what we've got to understand is that this is there for the children, and them having a better understanding of what this new classroom is all about, because it's here to study and learn, and we want them to get the best learning environment possible, and having an understanding actually what the systems are. So these units, these fan core units, the cassettes, but more importantly, of course, is the ventilation, which is hidden from them. Allowing them to actually carry out the servicing of them is great as well, getting the hoover out. And that's the thing, it's a simplicity of what's required of this particular system. It is literally just a vacuum of the core and vacuum of the filters. As we move along, is that as long as that's maintained, you know, the efficiency in the operation of these is going to be fantastic. And what we do as Mitsubishi is we provide the literature in which to carry out, so whether or not it's going to be the caretaker or someone who's going to carry out that. But the ease of doing it, it's not a technical element for that particular piece of equipment.
But it's worth stressing that maintenance is key here, because you can have all the best equipment, but if the filters are blocked, it's not going to be working efficient, it's going to pull more power and bits like that. So yeah, it's definitely worth noting about the maintenance, but a caretaker can do it.
A caretaker can do it, yeah. They'll have, you know, lift ladders to get up there and just take the car out and everything, but the idea is simplicity. And if we can make that, you know, an understanding and bringing them on board. The fact that kids have done it today is fantastic. So we know that we've got some kids for the future to do it if ever needed. But then, yeah, service and maintenance is essential. And with the installer who installed the AC work and the ventilation, there's 7-year warranty, parts and labour contribution. So we're so confident with the product itself. The installer has been on training courses. It gives you the reassurance from yourself from the perspective delivering a product such as a new classroom to a client, i.e. the school, that they've got reassurance that they've got that backing. Yeah. And the 7-year warranty is a nice touch, and it gives them the reassurance in going forward. It's
reassurance for the school, but obviously that's why we specify Mitsubishi in our classrooms, because like you say, it's parts and labour to swap it over, so that gives us the reassurance for 7 years that this equipment is not going to fail.
Most certainly.
Or if it does fail, there's the support there as well.
So there is indeed.
It's not expensive equipment that if it fails, the school think I haven't got the budget for it. BGR and Mitsubishi are there to help.
We are indeed.
Brilliant. Mike, thank you very much for coming.
It's a pleasure,
really appreciate
Richard.
it.
No, pleasure.
And we'll see you on the next project.
Thank you.